I want to show you something really quick. We just got it set up. But yeah.
Good evening. We're going to call the regular February meeting of the Verona Zoning Board of Adjustment to order at 7:35 p.m. Would you please take a second to join me in a moment of silence in memory of Kelly Lawrence, who was the secretary of this board for many, many years, and was a valuable asset to our operation. Thank you. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, would you please read the notice for the meeting and call the roll?
The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied with respect to this meeting of the Township of Verona Board of Adjustment, which is being held in person in the ballroom of the Verona Community Center located at 880 Bloomfield Avenue, Verona. The time and date of this meeting were included in the annual meeting notice posted in the Community Center and sent to the official newspaper of the Township, the Verona Cedar Grove Times, at least 48 hours preceding the start time of this meeting. The agenda and instructions on how to comment will be provided at the appropriate time. All meetings are recorded. Those wishing to speak during any public comment period should only provide their name and municipality. Street addresses are not required. Please be advised that should a member of the public choose to state their street address, it will not be redacted from this recording. Dr. Reese?
Here.
Mr. Tully?
Here.
Dr. Cortez?
Here.
Mr. Ryan?
Here.
Mrs. Murphy-Braddox?
Here.
Mrs. DiBartolo?
Here.
Mr. Mathewson is absent. Vice Chair Weston?
Here.
Chair McGinley?
Here.
Board Attorney Massara?
Here.
Engineer Mr. Peter Tenkate and Serafine Tanwar are here. We have zoning official, this is Mish, and I'm here.
If you weren't, you would have let us know, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start with some general information. This board deals with the issuance of variances from the Verona zoning ordinance. That ordinance establishes specific requirements for the land area in the township and regulates not only the uses permitted, but the size of lots, setbacks required, parking, signs, conditional uses, and numerous other such regulations. An applicant is never entitled to a variance. Applicants must meet specific criteria contained in the state municipal land use law by satisfying certain legal standards of proof. The burden is on the applicants to show that they should be granted the specific relief requested. Depending on the type of variance requested, applicants will need to prove special reasons, undue hardship, a balance of benefits, and other criteria. These are legal proceedings. Public meeting notices have been published. Neighbors have been notified. Applicants and their representatives will provide sworn testimony and be subject to cross-examination. Any action this board takes at this meeting will be memorialized in a resolution document prepared by our legal counsel that will be reviewed and adopted typically at our next regular meeting. At that time, any variances granted will become effective. That said, we are a board that conducts its business in a fairly informal manner. Applicants are sworn in, tell us what they want to do with their property and what they are asking the board to do. Board members will question witnesses, and then members of the public may question those witnesses. At the conclusion of the testimony, members of the public may make a statement regarding the application. After closing the public portion of the application, the board will deliberate and render a decision. If you're following along, we are at item E on the agenda, approval of minutes. Has the board had an opportunity to review the minutes from our regular meeting of November 21st?
I have one comment on these notes. The roll call vote for the 29 Otsego Road, I voted yes for that.
Noted, Madam Secretary? Okay. Are there any other comments on the minutes of November 21st? Okay. I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve the November 21st, 2024 meeting minutes.
Okay, in a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? One abstention. Okay, motion is approved. The minutes is approved. How about the minutes of the regular meeting of January 9th?
Make a motion to approve those minutes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan.
I'll second.
Thank you, Scott. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Okay. Okay, so the minutes are approved. That moves us to item F, resolutions. We had two resolutions. Resolution 2025-01, 38 Forest Avenue. Approval for a deck with conditions as agreed upon by the applicant.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2025-01.
Okay,
Second.
thank you, Kevin. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstain.
Okay. And it leaves us the one we've just received, the memorialization of 2025-02 for 95 Harrison Street, which was the split decision. It was the resolution we received yesterday? Tuesday? Tuesday? 95 Harrison was the, we approved the generator and denied the patio. And
Three people knew who you were. We approved this.
That's the contentious one.
yeah,
This was a fairly easy, because before, this is placement for air conditioning.
anyone feel moved to? Anyone feel moved to,
I'll make a motion to move that resolution, Mr. Chairman.
thank you. Second?
And this was just the generator portion, because I voted no for the rest of the application.
Right. The way the approval is just for the generator, the rest of it is denied.
Okay, and we voted on those individually.
Yes, and I
Yes.
believe there are 3 people who can't vote on it?
Yes, so Mr. Tully, Dr. Cortez, and Mrs. DiBartolo are not eligible, and Mr. Matheson is absent.
Okay.
I was asking too.
Okay, well, I will second the motion.
Okay, so all those who can vote,
Aye.
Aye.
okay. Is there anyone opposed? Abstentions?
I abstain.
Okay. So recorded,
Recorded.
and it passes. All right, that takes us through resolutions. Item G, term extensions. Congratulations, everyone. You have earned a 6-month term extension thanks to the municipal council changing the municipal election date from May to November. Everyone's service on this board has been extended by 6 months. You can enjoy that, or you can frown on it. But
Can you refuse it? I'm being script here.
that's only because yours was coming up this June.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so that's just so that we note that for the record, that you are now, New Year's Eve terms will end. Okay. That moves us to new business. The first application on our agenda this evening under new business is 2024-23, 36 Westover Road. If you would be so kind as to come to the front, remain standing, our counsel will swear you in, then you can have a seat. That's good.
Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Sure, so Antonio Cisneros, 36 Westover Road.
And can you raise your right hand? You swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, please feel free to have a seat and tell us what you're, yes. And,
Mr. Chair, just wanted to point out a slight discrepancy, I think, on the departmental review sheet for this application. It says case number 2024-15 on the top, but I think that's probably,
That case did come in 2024, and this has been carried to
okay,
today.
so it's got a new number now, though.
No,
No.
it stays, it remains the same because it's carried from last year.
Okay. It says 15 on the one sheet that I have here, and it's 23 on the.
There was an initial noticing issue,
Okay.
and then due to some personal events,
Okay.
it was pushed to a new baby, right?
Yes.
Yes. So
is
it was pushed
23
now.
I just
So-
want to make sure, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, for the record, the application is complete. Notice was adequately published and served.
here, this one?
Yeah, I apologize for the, can you hear me? Am I good? Yeah.
You can push yours.
Yeah, no, there it is. It's on, it's working. I apologize for the confusion. My wife and I just recently adopted a little boy, and we had to push this back a couple months. So sorry if anything was, misconstrued or any kind of, because I've been working with Kathleen. That being said, thank you all for just, taking the time to listen to what I have to say, this evening. 36 Westover Road, I don't know, I think I submitted some pictures. Currently, we bought the house 8 years ago, and, there's a 4-foot chain link fence there with a tarp on it. So moving forward, just talking to my wife and having a newborn, and it's going to be in the yard playing, there are some hardships. We have a couple concerns. One being, Pompton Avenue being obviously, a busy road, and then the office building behind, which we feel, being that there's a 4-foot fence there currently, a 6-foot fence, and I know being a corner lot, in the pictures, there is no blockage of any cars from Westover Road, from coming down the driveway. Even some of our neighbors from the previous homeowner, I guess, cut some branches and trees down, and they're looking for privacy, and not necessarily I'm looking for privacy. My main concerns are safety for my child. There's a lot of people walking on Pompton Avenue, and it is a little bit raised, a little bit higher. And there are people in the office building that, tend to park there, and it just feels a little bit uncomfortable. And I think just, a 6-foot fence would make myself, my family feel a little bit safer in terms of, any kind of caregiving, any kind of people watching, our son. And most importantly, we live in a crazy world. Any kind of abductions, that's, my main focus of this is not, there's numerous reasons why I feel people want fences, and yeah, in a perfect world, I'd want a 20-foot fence and be hidden, but, from a lot of people. However, I know that's really unrealistic, so, I want to try to be as realistic as possible and just, and say that there is a 4-foot fence there currently. So I'm asking the board for a 6-foot fence, around my property. I know I know it's considered 2 front lots, which is, to me, it's a little confusion. I know Kathleen and the team did explain it to me fairly well. But for instance, even in the backyard, along Pompton, there's no restrictions to any cars, but when you come up the driveway, I couldn't even see why that would even be an issue, being that the only people that would be looking into our yard would be the people in that office building. It wouldn't be an obstruction to anybody. And on Pompton, you can make a left or a right on Pompton, and we did plant some mini brush there to start the process of privacy. But we feel, with something a little bit more secure, it'd be a little bit better for us and the family.
So would this fence just replace the exact footprint?
It'd be in the exact footprint, correct. We're not looking, the fence is, I think, I'm not 100% accurate, it's about 15 to 18 feet from the sidewalk, so it's not even close to the sidewalk. So the existing footprint that you see would be just where the existing chain link fence would just be replaced with a nicer wood fence.
What will you do with the shrubbery that is there now?
Well, the shrubbery, the shrubbery will stay. The shrubbery is there. The fence would be in front of the shrubbery. So there is some shrubbery along Pompton Avenue, and so the fence would be inside of that shrubbery.
So are you planning on taking down any of the existing trees?
No.
And could you tell me again why you think you need a 6-foot fence there?
Just for people, a lot of people that are walking on Pompton Avenue when we are in the yard, just happen to look in, and it does make us feel uncomfortable, to be honest. And then there are people that park in the parking lot behind us in the business lot there, which that's our driveway in the back there. And there are people that just park there for whatever reason. A lot of people do work there, but there are people that just, hang out there. And currently with that 4-foot fence, they could see into our yard. So with a 6-foot fence, I think it would give us a little bit more of a sense of safety in terms of kind of when we do have, children playing in the yard.
And are you planning on having this be a dark wooden fence or a bright white fence? Or what?
No, I mean, for us, it's not about color. For us, it's just more about the privacy. If this was approved, we would, obviously take recommendations from the board. I mean, we're looking to do a cedar fence. It's not, we're not looking to do, any kind of crazy colors. We're thinking of like maybe something to match the house, like a dark wooden cedar or a light cedar wood. Nothing, nothing that's going to be, obstructed by, a crazy, color where people would see it and kind of, it wouldn't be an eyesore.
The reason I say that is because the fence as it stands with the burlap around it kind of blends into blends into the trees and the woodland that you have there. And it doesn't, it's blending in.
Would this be a solid fence, or would there be
It'd be a,
negative space?
it'd be a solid fence.
But to me, 3 feet is high enough to protect children from running into the street. You don't really need to go any higher than 3 feet. And my point from privacy, the Verona zoning is made so that, you're not blocking houses, right? So anyone walking down the street kind of feels this openness between, the front of the house and the sidewalk. I feel like you'd be changing, the intent of what the zoning law is. Like,
I would agree with you.
We don't want people to be private, right? We don't want them to build these walls around their houses and the community becomes something different, right? We do want this openness. We don't want people staring into your house, but we want them looking and admiring your house, your front yard.
And just to follow up on your point, though, and I think where this man maybe has an exception, if I'm reading this correctly, and maybe I'll ask the zoning officer to chime in, this is a residential house in a zone, though, that's professional and business. So he's sort of, in an awkward position here from the standpoint that you're making a very legitimate point. If this was just a house in a normal residential area, I don't think he'd be asking to put, a 6-foot fence up. But the way that, if you look at Pompton Avenue from his perspective, it is sort of a, a busy commercial street.
And to add to your point, it's the 3-foot fence, and I understand your point, and I respect your point. Because right now there's a 4-foot chain link fence there. So the 2 extra feet, people would still see in. So you wouldn't be, I understand your point, and I wouldn't want to put up a 10-foot fence and block, because I know, obviously, Verona open, kind of see everything. I get that. That being said, the 6-foot fence nobody would drive by and say, oh my God, this looks like, some kind of, fort of, it wouldn't look bad only because it's on a hill and people would still see it. We're just trying to get a little bit of that extra safety, to the gentleman's point of it being that we are kind of in that residential and that business building behind us, trying to get, a little bit more safety. And just having people over, like I said, it's not for a privacy reason, it's more for a safety reason, and it's from the location that we're in.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like even where this fence starts, you can see your whole front yard, right? Where the fence is now, like where the fence would go, it's not going to block sort of the.
No, it's not going to block
front yard
anything.
From Westover, everyone will be able to still see your.
You're 100% correct. Where the current fence is, it's not even close. It's about 40 feet. It's along the perimeter of the house.
Yeah.
So you would still see the house. It's not going to go in front of the house. It wouldn't block
It's the side. It's the side of the house. Essentially.
The only benefit that we're going to get is the safety on Pompton Avenue and from that office building in the back of having that little safety. But when you drive down Westover Road, you're going to see the house. You're going to see the front yard. You're going to see we have a little gazebo there. You're going to see the yard in general. It's just going to be a little harder to see 2 feet higher. That's all.
So I'll ask a question, then I want to follow up. So you've been there for how many years? 8 years?
8 years, correct.
That fence was pre-existing.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so obviously, and there's a litany of trees there, and those are obviously pre-existing, I would imagine as well.
No, those I recently put in.
All those trees are there.
Those trees I recently put in.
So there's been an attempt with the previous fence, all these trees, and still this is an issue. And I feel like from what's been indicated as where the fence is going to go, agreeing that it's not the Westover side that's being impacted, which is the residential side. This is an incredibly high traffic area. I don't see 3 or 4 feet really mitigating the problem of, foot traffic, vehicle traffic. And again, this being an incredibly, commercial area. I think that this is just a very different circumstance. I mean, based on, it's not like mitigation measures haven't been taken already, to, kind of agree with kind of where you're going. This isn't, the residential side, this is really the commercial, high traffic side that's, being affected here.
Are the arborvitae on the outside of this fence? It looks like it from this photo that I'm looking at.
No, they're actually, they are on the inside of the fence.
Yeah, they look almost like they're on the outside of the fence.
I don't know, I apologize.
On the inside?
No, those are back, no.
Oh, they're on the inside, yeah. So they're on the inside.
They're on the inside.
They're on the inside. So what I wanted to do there is when I put those, those green giants in, I wanted to put them on the inside, for the reason of I didn't want to obstruct any cars or anybody, walk. I didn't want any obstructions, and I didn't want to, cause any issues with the town, being that, there is a sidewalk there. So I wanted to put them as far up in my property as possible. Thank you.
This is a question maybe for the zoning officer. If this was a purely residential area, the height restriction still the same, in terms of...
Yes, because it's a corner property. So the problem is that it's fronting on Pompton, so you can't have the 6 feet in the front yard. So that's...
Yes, but he has essentially 2 front yards.
Correct.
I think that's another question that I have in the 2 front yards, and Kathleen did explain it to me. But that's where I'm having a tough time understanding the 2 front yards, especially when you look at one picture that goes up the driveway. That is the back of my house, and it's considered a front yard, which to me it's still hard to understand. And I know Kathleen did explain it to me, but I still can't understand why that part from the office building, because that fence going up to the driveway, those are the folks that could most likely see into the property. So that's the back of the house, but it's considered a front yard. So pretty much I have 4 corners of my house, 3 corners of the house are considered front yards, which make it extremely difficult for me to do anything.
If I could clarify just for a minute. So when the back of the house by where the garage is, there's the frontage on Pompton, the frontage on Westover. So you have to go 10 feet in order for the fence to start to be 6. So that's why he would have to have the variance to go on Pompton and then also up on the driveway behind. His driveway goes behind and he enters the garage back there. So he would need that 10 feet for the variance to be 6 feet there.
Are there any additional questions for our applicant from the board?
Yeah, one more. So we're discussing here what's kind of highlighted or what, is on the Pompton side of your house, from Westover, or I don't know how to explain it, but like basically the corner side and then of Westover alongside Pompton and back towards the frame garage. Just for curiosity then, are there any plans to do anything with the remaining fence outside of this?
The chain link fence, if approved, I would replace the chain link fence
All the way.
all the way around, because I think, my opinion, I think it would look tacky to have a chain link fence and then build a.
I'm just
So I would obviously the plan would be is to remove the chain link fence and in the existing area put the cedar fence.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Mix and match and do some
And
decor style. that
if
I don't
I'm
know about.
correct, you changed the fence on the other side, right? You were going to change it on the other side that you didn't
Eventually, I'd like to do that just for, I talked to my neighbor, so I'd like to do it, because I know that's where I can do it, because that's the one side that, but it's a fence that's fallen apart, so I already talked to my neighbor next door who's done a nice extension, and he told me if I obviously got approved to include the 6-foot fence all the way around and start on that side as well.
Zoning officer, what is the distance that a fence needs to be away from a property line? Is it 1 foot, 6 inches? So the front corner of this particular property complies?
Yes.
Good, okay. All right. Any other questions from the board for this applicant? Is there anyone from the public who would like to ask a question of this applicant at this time? Good, got everybody's attention. Seeing none, I would ask, is there anyone from the public who would like to make a statement about this application at this time? Again, seeing none, I would move the public portion closed and move to board deliberation. And I would start by saying this is the classic reason for the existence of the zoning board. This is a property that if you apply the general rules to it, it just doesn't seem to work. This property happens to be on my walking path, and I have stared into your driveway in your backyard many times. You do get a clear view, especially from the other side of Pompton Avenue. I admired all the days you were out there putting in the Pachysandra. That just seemed like a yeoman's task.
Do you like the wall I put up?
It's been a labor of love. It sat in fair disrepair for
We've done a lot of work,
and
and a lot of the neighbors have been appreciative of not just my hard work, some of the landscapers' hard work of just maintaining the property, and that's my final thing is I want to enhance the property and the value of the property, for Verona as well. I love this town. I came here for a reason. I love the school districts, and we're going to be enrolling in the school districts in the not near too future. So for me, it's also improving the house in general. We've done some work to it, and we want to continue to kind of do as many things as possible to uptake the house and kind of do what we can. Obviously, of course, under the law and under variances and everything else.
Just out of curiosity, Andrew, how far are you from the 2 lots that the town just purchased for a potential public safety building on Pompton Avenue? That's a little farther?
Yeah, that's a little farther. Yeah, that's further down.
Okay, so you're not. So if that ever went through, you wouldn't be too severely impacted by that?
No.
Okay.
it sounded to me like the board was coming to a consensus of the fence is okay. There was a discussion on the height of the fence.
I have a question. I'm wondering if this board would be at all interested in asking the applicant if he would put shrubs outside of the fence as opposed to inside of the fence. You talked about open spaces and greenery, or do we just want to totally pass that one by?
I don't know if we want to totally pass it by, but the applicant has the distance between the sidewalk and the fence has been all Pachysandra.
But Pachysandra is not going to hide, or in any way cover that fence.
I mean, if the brushery looks better, I could put the fence on the inside. I mean, right now the green giants are on the inside of the fence. I could put the fence on the inside of the green giants, so you see the green giants. It's a matter of preference of what you'd want to see. If you'd like to see the green giants driving by, I could have, the fence would be in, probably another 4 feet, which then you would just see the green giants.
But that would be maybe more aesthetically pleasing if I can just throw throw that to that.
Yeah, I mean,
It would break up the solid look of just seeing a fence.
Yeah, and that's a valid point. You know what? For me, it didn't matter if, like, I wasn't, to me, it didn't matter if the green giants were on the inside or the outside. You know, for me, it was more of, you know, coming here and speaking to you about the fence. So if the board requested that, you know, if this was to be approved, I have no problem putting the fence another 3 feet in, so when you drive by or walk by, you see the green giants and not the fence right away. If that's going to make things just aesthetically look better.
I
And
agree with
I-
Dr.
I'm
Reese,
not
it
in-
would be a little bit more aesthetic.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
I think the best in humanity. I also think that that's an undue burden on the applicant, only because then, again, thinking the best in humanity, you're also imposing the labor associated with bystanders walking by and potentially leaving debris and waste in the gaps you're creating between those trees with the trees on the outside of it. Again, thinking the best of humanity, but even in some of the streets that you wouldn't believe, trash magically appears.
Oh, no, those Pakistanders are, the gentleman's point, yeah, when you walk by, there is a lot of garbage in those Pakistanders that I'm cleaning out all the time, so.
And people love the bases of trees to just magically toss stuff into them, and I think that that's just an undue burden on the applicant. I don't know what you're.
No, I echo your comments 100%. I don't think it's necessary. I think we're talking about aesthetics. I think anything is an improvement from what it looks like right now. I think a wood fence will look very nice. I think I would be inclined to condition it on being a wood fence, because I would hate to see a giant plastic fence go up. That would be.
Or chain link fence.
Or chain link. No, I mean, part of this is I think a wood fence is going to be an incredible aesthetic improvement. I think it is necessary. I think you have demonstrated an appropriate hardship. That is a very busy road. I think what you're proposing is simply going to improve the neighborhood, and it'll look nice.
I think also it's important to understand its context, this greater context in this neighborhood. This is a commercial zone. I mean, you know, for all intents and purposes, there's a lot of concrete, there's a lot of, you know, motion, things moving by. I think from a scale perspective, I think 6 feet actually makes total sense, because Pompton is wide. It's wide, and it's got some sidewalks on it, and, you know, so that 6 foot actually, to me, a 3 foot high fence would look kind of dinky in this context. You know, you don't, your typical corner lot, if you were to pick it up and put it in the middle of the town, you know, you can park on both sides, you could walk on both sides. You cannot park on Pompton here. Other than maybe Dan, I don't know how many, you know, foot traffic you get here. So it's not your typical corner lot. And I totally agree. If this was a white vinyl fence, we'd be having a different conversation. But
Well, I will say this, that the fact that the fence is a number of feet away, the fact that the fence is going to be placed a number of feet away from the street, you know, the sidewalk, and has the Pakistander growing there is aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah. And there's going to be more Pakistanders there next spring. I know.
As the years go on, I can guarantee you.
I'll make a motion to approve application 2024-23.
Second.
Okay. Is that with the condition of the fence being a wooden fence?
Yes.
With application testified to.
Yeah. Well, that's a shortcut he's going to take. Okay, so we have,
As stipulated in the application. You can
In
say
the
that.
application. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call vote?
Dr. Reese will be voting since Mr. Mathewson is absent. You will. Your alternate one. Dr. Reese?
Yes.
Dr. Cortez?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mrs. Murphy Braddix?
Yes.
Mrs. G. Bartolo?
yes.
Vice Chair Weston?
Yes.
And Chair McKinnon?
Yes, we'll make that unanimous. Congratulations. Good luck with the construction. We don't approve that until next month, but I don't think you're going to be out there in the short term.
Thank you. I appreciate all you for your time. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And off the record, I also own a corner house, so I'm very sympathetic to your issues.
Okay, that moves us to application number 2, 2024-16, 30 Elk Road. And I am going to recuse myself from this application and turn over the chair to the vice chair.
Who is the applicant?
That's me, Pete Romanishin, 30 Elk Road.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth? Before we start, Mr. Romanishin, when you submitted your application, and it's fine, everything, notice was fine, but you had initialed, apparently you had hand-delivered notices to some people?
Yes, I did.
And that was indicated by your initials on the certification?
Yeah, they initialed on the certification.
Right, okay.
That was okay?
That's fine.
Okay.
I just, we wanted that on the record because
yes.
you didn't have the
I was
certified.
trying to limit the cost a little bit, so I knocked on as many doors as I could.
Not blaming you. And you be testifying, sir?
Yes.
Okay, can you raise your right, state your name and address for the record?
Evan Scott, Scott Architects, Buffalo, New Jersey.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
And Mr. Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, but you appeared in front of this board just a few months ago?
Correct.
And has anything changed in terms of your status of your license?
Nope.
Okay. And just for the record, please confirm that you were admitted as an expert in architecture at the last meeting you were.
Yes.
That you,
Yeah, licensed architect.
I would move to have Mr. Scott as an expert in architecture. Yes, could please sit. And if you could tell us about the application and why you're here.
Sure. So we have 3 variances we're looking to get approved. We had one added late.
And we have an existing garage, Mr. Romanishin's house. It was a dilapidated building. It was actually zoned as a shop. And so we had recently found out last meeting that we had to turn it back to a garage. But Mr. Romanishin fixed it up, renovated it. There was a side building attached to it that he wanted to be like an open air 3-season room, and so added French doors to it. And we needed to add stairs to it, so we decided to do a small wraparound deck with 1 set of stairs instead of 3 individual stairs. And since needed a variance for the impervious coverage not meeting, the accessory structure percentage coverage, and then the use of the shop back to a garage structure. The hardships that we're looking to do is that we were going to provide a landing and stairs that looked to be way too much coverage already. So to simplify it, we just did a small porch just for access to the 1 set of stairs that leads to the front of the house. There is a pitch and slope towards the rear of the yard. There's forest behind there. So water issues and runoff would all go towards that back area. The existing coverage is mostly a patio out the back. The garage is large, and the driveway leads all the way to the back. It's a very large garage structure existing. It had plumbing and stuff in it already. It was converted to just have 2-car garage, a 3-season room off to the side, and then a kind of gathering space above.
So can I just ask a question about the garage? I want to make sure I'm understanding. it was a garage, it got converted to a shop, and then back to a garage.
Yes, so when we purchased the house, the previous owners had redone the house, but they had left the garage, and the owner before them was an HVAC man. So he had, I guess, in the late 90s or early 2000s, I believe, had changed it to like his plumbing shop. We were not, aware of that at all. When we went to do the work and the permits and everything, we didn't know that. We found out before the last time we were supposed to appear before the board. So I guess the additional variance is we need to change it, back into a garage. I mean, I guess technically we already did the work, so we kind of did return it to a garage. But it was really like a hazard, back there at this point. That original building was probably 60, 70 years old. We had raccoons, squirrels, mice, rats. The roof was like coming down, and it just really wasn't, safe anymore. So we wanted to just kind of, clean it up and just make sure it was, again, safe and wasn't going to fall on anybody or anything like that.
And then did you also expand the footprint of it with, I guess?
We did not. Like I said, because that garage was built so long ago, it was a full there was a 2-car garage and then a whole extra, like half kind of that was already existing. It had 2 bathrooms in it. We actually took one of those out, so it's like less bathrooms, but the square footage is the same. The only thing we did was dormer out the top. The bones of it were all the same on the bottom. Just
same foundation.
Same exact foundation, everything. Yeah, just kind of cleaned it up and modernized it and just made it a lot safer.
Okay. And so now in the garage, it's a 2-car, like what would you say the split is between like playroom and kind of garage area?
So there's like the 2-car garage, and then above it is like a little like hangout playroom, and then there's like a little half room off the side, which is the 3-season room that Mr. Scott was talking about. There's a couple of French doors that open, and again, when they redid it, because everything wasn't even, and they framed it out, there's a couple of foot drop that goes down. So obviously with doors opening, by law for safety purposes, we need some sort of a landing there. And we just thought instead of doing like 3 separate stone landings, just having like a little small kind of wraparound, deck where the water can actually go through, would make a little bit more sense so we could have the doors open, people could go outside. I also have a niece with traumatic brain injury, and for her to be able to maneuver her outside and let her be with us on that deck, in like a chair or wheelchair, having that extra room in those landings for her, we thought would really work for us as well.
Just again, to kind of clarify the history, because I'm a little lost with that. So did we hear anything about this before? Because I don't remember anything. I might not have been here.
No, so what happened was actually, I think, 2 hours before the hearing, it was brought to my attention about the garage use. So once I was able to look it up and find that it was actually a shop, then it was then verified to be a shop later on for another reason, that the use was never changed from that. So then speaking to Mr. Massara, we couldn't hear it because that use variance had to be noticed. Am I correct on that? So we needed the use variance to be able to turn it back from approved as a shop to the use that it is of part den, part garage, right?
But to be clear to me, there is no shop currently existing there now, is that correct?
There is not.
Okay, so it just was converted. This is another one, and after the fact kind of a situation?
Well,
We have to go back and remedy that?
I don't believe that the applicant was aware that there was any resolution that had turned it from a garage to a shop. So therefore couldn't on his application state that it was, no. So I'm just saying he was not aware, so I was not aware. And when actually the first zoning, I think there was a zoning application for the den at some point, right? Yeah. Yeah. So there were, right, so then there was a zoning permit in 2023, but at that point, nobody was aware of the use.
Okay. Kathleen, I think we might have had not a misunderstanding. We didn't know it was changed back.
Right.
Okay. The applicant would need a use variance if it were still a shop. But this is a permitted accessory use, which we just found out now. So I don't think there's a variance required for the use because it's a permitted use, so they have brought it back into conformity.
Thank you. That's what the point, you're making a better point than
Right.
what I was trying to make. Go ahead. Yeah.
So the initial garage was used for a shop.
Correct.
Then it was verified that in whatever time that it was a shop. Then it was changed to a part garage, part den. And then now without any change in use.
Okay, is the den permitted as part of a garage?
A den, we don't have anything for. We would have we would have a cabana, we would have, but we don't have anything for a den.
Okay, so then we would need the variance because the definition of a garage does not include living space.
Living
Okay.
space, right.
So
And we
then-
don't have anything that
Right.
allows for the
The living
combination.
space,
The only
okay.
thing we really have is like a cabana.
Okay.
Okay, so this permit that was issued, that you reference here in 2023-214.
Right.
At that point, the applicant or whoever owned the house at that point
Mhm.
was under the impression that what they were doing was legal when they when they came to that permit.
Correct.
They were not required to get a variance.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, when we went through with the initial permit process and had the drawings showing the garage, the area upstairs, which is I guess the den or the hangout room, and then the area on the side, when we did the initial permits, all of that was in the, in the drawings, and we didn't know that, it was actually, I guess, zoned as a plumbing shop.
No, it wasn't zoned as that. It was a variance, right. So it was that was grandfathered.
Oh, okay.
You would not have needed a variance if you were using this area as a place to park your vehicles.
Okay.
Okay. The fact that there's a bathroom, I think, to me, my recommendation to the board would be the fact that there's a bathroom makes it usable living space as opposed to a garage, or in conjunction with the garage.
Okay.
Because there is no requirement under the law. It happened to be a case where the town of Verona was a defendant, that a garage has to be used to park cars, believe it or not. But here you have two uses, to park your vehicles and to use as a residence. So I would say that the variance is necessary. Also, there was a roof deck. There wasn't a roof deck on this one? Or that was a different one? Okay, all right, never mind. Okay. There's a lot of them that are going on. There's four.
No, I'm good. I just need the little bit so we don't step out, fall 4 feet onto the ground.
Okay, so in terms of just documentation, there's a lot of new construction documentation on this drawing. So was this the initial drawing for the fit out of the garage?
Correct, yeah, that was the whole fit out of the garage, and then the clouded areas are just the specific added for the side deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the full garage renovation, reconstruction was done, completed, and permitted. Now this would just be the add-on of the deck and stairs to close out the permit.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask, is it your intent, or would you agree to a condition of the application that it would not be used as a living space?
Absolutely. We purposely, when we went through it, we did not, it is a half bath that is upstairs. It is not set up at all to be an apartment. I have 2 teenage daughters, and it's basically their place to go and relax and hang out, and there's no intention of it, being used as a, full-on living space or renting it out as an apartment, none of those types of things.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Other than your teenage daughters, how do you as a family use this particular building?
I said, like the upstairs, like we'll go and sit up there and like watch movies as a family. The area with the French doors off to the side, is a place where like adults and stuff will hang out. We have a TV out there. We put in like a little bar outside. And then the two-car garage, that's there. That's where I keep, sports equipment, my, all the other things that I need, and do park cars on the one side of the garage as well.
So half of it is still a garage, basically?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Like I said, there's still room for 2 full cars in there.
You still could put 2 cars?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah. There's 1 car in there at all times. And then the other half, we still got too much of my kids' stuff taking up the other half. One day, maybe I'll get it back. Yeah.
I guess this would be a question, Scott, I just want to clear up. Can we go through these things one by one then and approve them, as opposed to trying to do them in the aggregate? It might be a little simpler, I don't know. You tell me.
We certainly have that option to do that, and if we feel as a board that that is the best course of action, we certainly can do that. I'd like to hear a little more about what you might kind of be on the fence for, as well as the other board members.
Okay. I'm just particularly referring to A here. I mean, it looks like it's really already been done, and we're almost just, putting the formal seal of approval.
While that may be true, any application that comes before us, we have to act and take it as if the construction has not occurred.
No, I understand that, but to me, it would just be easier for me to make a yes or no call on that maybe right off the bat than going through the other 3, where, I'm just not inclined to ask somebody who did this in good faith, okay? Thought they were doing, they had looked for a permit, converted the use, and, it's already been functioning as a garage and a what do they call it here, a playroom. So I think the rest of them are more, I guess, traditional variances, I'll call them, impervious coverage, things, stormwater management, setbacks and things like that. But we can,
So I'm not opposed. Let's see how the rest of the one questioning goes, and then we can make a decision on that.
Okay, thank you.
So I have a question about the doors. So there's a couple 6-footers that are opening out onto the deck. But yet the deck is only 6 feet deep. So when those doors are open, there's not kind of an opportunity to have seating out there or whatnot, could they be windows and there wouldn't be a deck there at all? Like, what's the thought, especially when it's so close to the grade? It's only 12 inches off the ground at one point, then you have to step down.
It's 12 inches at the front and then about 24 inches at the back sides. And really, we didn't want a full deck. This is really just to get circulation out to the one stairwell that's there. When the doors are in the open position, they would lie against the wall or against each other. So the intent is just to open those to allow the air through and then just be able to walk around over to the front steps to get down. Instead of having these little landings that were on each one, 3 foot deep, because the doors do swing out, and then the steps proceeding down, it would just stick into the side yard more than that, 6 feet.
Is there a rail all the way around?
Yes. Although we're not needed, we don't need a rail, but we will have one.
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea was that it just seemed like it made more sense to just make it one single structure as opposed to then putting in 3 separate, landings or stairs, to be able to do that, just make it a little bit more kind of conformed by just being one, little deck that wraps around.
How does the yard slope?
So the yard slopes towards that side den and then towards that kind of back forest area. Not a great slope, but
So if you're at the main residence and looking at the garage,
Garage.
it slopes to the back left.
Yeah, down towards the back left. And yeah, and the town owns the woods behind. And then the very back end of my neighbor's property is pretty much like in the woods almost as well. So it all kind of goes right back into the wooded area behind my house and behind my neighbor's house.
Are there currently any steps out these doors, or you just kind of drop?
No, there are not. So when Mr. Jacobson came, like, we had a conversation, and he said, I'm gonna, because he knew that we were gonna be going through this process, and he said, I'm gonna give you the temporary CO. He said, you just have to promise me that those doors stay closed, locked, sealed until we can, sort through this process, and then we can go from there.
yeah, there's temporary.
Yeah, we built the temporary steps in the
No, so
front.
the original design had stairs,
Yeah.
but then you switched it to like a deck.
Correct.
Just to confirm, that area directly in back of you, that's owned by the town?
It's owned by the town. It's all woods.
Okay.
Our thought had even been too, in thinking about the drainage and stuff, that, a deck where the water can go through might actually serve a better purpose than if it was like solid stone stairs where it might not be able to do that, as well.
So what are you proposing to be underneath the deck?
Just soil and gravel.
You don't have the original drawing showing the stairs that was approved. I'm just trying to figure out, because the stairs obviously created some impervious areas as well. I'm wondering how big they were compared to like what the deck going in as.
He's calling up the blueprints.
We had them open, and we were working on the solution at that point, so we did not have any stairs shown at that time in the original approval.
I have a question. Sure.
Was there an impervious coverage issue before?
Yes.
Then how did they get a permit to do the work?
When I did all the measurements, it was already at 53. And then with these, I think it was 53.99. And then with this, it became 56.23. So
Correct.
that was,
Yeah, this project, we
For
weren't
previously.
changing anything.
Yeah, all that,
Footprint stuff was the same.
yeah, everything was already there. We just kind of fixed it and updated it. But the whole
Were there
existing
were there
structure-
stairs there?
Yes.
the stairs that are on the, I guess if you're looking,
There was a set of like crumbling stone stairs coming off that side, yes. Sorry. Yeah, there was a set of stairs that was there that we knocked out, because again, they weren't very safe. So when we redid
right,
everything, we
because
knocked
those would
down.
have needed, those are within the setback. That should have had a variance for those stairs. So they were, I guess, taken down and replaced, right? That
Yeah.
is not part of what I looked at, so it was previously allowed.
I mean, it was previously existing, whether the timing of
It
when
was,
all the impervious
right,
was put
it was
in is
existing,
unknown.
right. But honestly, if they were stairs that were existing, if they were taken down, then they would have lost that, and they would have needed to have variance to have back because they would have lost the pre-existing condition the minute they came down.
I understood that, but there could have also been like the patio could have been expanded over, over the years at some point without
Right.
the town's knowledge.
Right, so I'm only looking at what came to me with what was existing and then what this particular application was for. So,
Yeah, it
so at
requires the
some point-
variance because it is an expansion because of the deck, but
Right.
we're basically saying it's going from 53% to 56%.
right, so it was, so they're exasperating a pre-existing non-conforming.
Can I ask Mr. Scott a question, or maybe Christie, you might, is that a window on the side of the stairs?
Garage right side yard.
Yes, the garage right side yard.
Garage, plan right?
It's on the part of the application, there's 4 photos. And it shows the stairs.
The ones that are
going upstairs?
That's the exterior stairs to the second floor.
Yes,
This is
yes,
a window.
there was,
Oh,
yeah,
there
there's
is
a
an
window,
existing
that's
window,
the other side of the garage.
Is that does that window meet code? I'm just curious, because it just doesn't seem like you would have gotten a permit for the stairs. If there's,
The stairs were there and the window was there. So they
well, you
just
said you replaced the stairs.
replaced the treads. That was the one stair. There was other stairs on the other side.
Yeah,
as
I think
well.
the ones, there were stairs on the other side that were like where we're looking to add that, like the little deck
These
part.
stairs in this picture,
Those are new, but there was the exact same one existing, but again, they were crumbling and falling
Those
apart.
do not need a variance. Those are not in the
well,
variance.
it does, because it violates the setback. That's what Kathleen was just explaining.
No, that was the existing non-conforming. They were there, we didn't change them.
Right, but when you replace the stairs, you would have had to have a permit, and then that window needs to be a glass-tempered window. And that's something I could defer to Christie for, because it's with it, so
Yeah.
it doesn't look like you got a permit, is what I'm suggesting.
No, we
got permitted for everything. I went through all of the inspections when
Okay.
they came through, yeah.
Yeah, that one
Like I
was
said, they
recent.
cleared everything except I said, Mr. Jacobson just said, that area over there. He's like, just make sure you get
Great.
something there, call me back, and we'll settle it. Okay.
I mean, the old drawings do say that they are doing work on that stair.
Okay.
And you can't tell that there was an existing stringer there.
Yes, you can see that, right? Yeah. And just to be clear, this board has no jurisdiction over permits. I just,
Okay.
right, I'm
Of
not
course.
suggesting, just want to make sure that this was a replacement so that
Of exist-
it
yes.
wouldn't trigger anything new.
No, absolutely, appreciate it, yeah.
Right.
Other questions from board members? Are there any other experts that are going to testify?
No.
Mr. Ryan, I haven't forgotten about you. We'll go through the questions and the statements, and then we'll address the board about voting individually or collectively.
That's fine.
Can you talk about the setback to the rear yard? The 4,
Sure, the rear yard setback, existing 4'3" to 4'4". That would be the same. We would go with the deck, 4'10" is shown on the plan. We could go to 5 foot, if needed though. Just enough to clear the door. We're keeping it towards the end so the door could open, fully.
and is there a rear yard setback for an accessory structure? I don't think that there is, right?
There is, yes.
Okay. 10 feet? Okay. So the 4'3" is the pre-existing non-conformity.
It's already there.
So yes, so that's the pre-existing again. For that garage, I think, as a fencing was built originally, with an expanded deck.
No, the footprint's exactly the same.
So the existing post.
Yeah, it's been there a long time. When Jackie Mack came to do my home inspection, he's like, this has really good bones. He's like, you wouldn't be allowed to, have this type of a structure as a garage much anymore. So I think that's why it's a little further set back than normal.
Well, the only other slight discrepancy that I maybe would like clarified in the engineer's report from November, from Boswell, they just addressed 2 of the variances. Okay, now, in the report that we got from the zoning department, we're saying there are 4. So I don't know whether that's a material issue that needs to be resolved. I mean, I can understand the first variance that on the sheet. I can understand why Boswell didn't address that one, because it's not, it's a done, it's already there. But I'm just trying to see which one, they agree on, they address 150-17, and then the 2 from 150-17, they did D and F. Okay.
Yeah, we should have picked up the non-conforming existing on the setbacks. We did not.
Okay.
And
So you agree with the zoning officer's decision
Yes.
finally in terms of
yes,
the number of variances?
and
Okay.
we did not pick up on this discussion of having a use variance for the garage.
Okay, thank you.
You're correct.
Any other questions from the board members before we open it up to the public?
Can you talk about the, like the topography of the neighborhood as a whole?
Sure. So this is Elk Road, right behind Lanning at school. It slopes down fairly significantly from the, the east side down. So if you're looking at the plan, it would be the right side of the plan down towards the left.
Excuse me, Mr. Scott, can you turn on your, thank you.
So yeah, the slope goes down from page left to page right, page right to page left, from east side to west side, fairly significantly down the street. And then, like I said, there's a large forested area behind, and so there's a grade change that goes from the house goes towards the street, towards the backyard, it goes towards that back property.
Was the existing patio there when you bought it? Or did you put that in?
We changed a little bit of it when we went in there. And then when we had redone the grass area, we made sure that we wanted to make sure that the runoff and everything was pitched towards that back corner. So that it would head back towards those trees.
Okay, so you don't have a dry well or anything here, it's just slope, gravity? Yeah.
Dry wells like underground gravel, rocks and stuff. You don't have that, right?
No, I don't think so.
Do you get water in your basement?
There's an original stone wall, I guess, that's been there for a really long time, that looks like it has pipes, so I don't know if when it comes down Elk through yards and stuff like that, it shoots it out across the driveway to funnel it down in that direction.
Do you get water in your basement?
No.
Do you have a sump and drains and all that?
The people prior to us, because they redid the whole main house, they put in a little modified channel back there. When we first bought it, we took a tiny, little bit of water in there almost the second night, even though they told us they never got water. And then once we kind of redid the grass and stuff like that and changed the slope, we haven't had any water issues or anything since.
Mr. Chairman, the engineering report goes into great, I'm sure you've read that, goes into great detail about concerns about drainage and water runoff. Do you have any reaction to that, or do you agree with the recommendations that are in there? I'd like you to get you on the record on that.
Yeah, absolutely. We agree with any kind of roof drains that go down and go towards the natural surface runoff. Like I said, the garage, the roof lines were all there, so we weren't exacerbating that. It's really just the deck portion, but by funneling and channeling that and not having it go towards the street or hard surfaces, that's the intent of this project, is to make sure.
And I know you've notified everybody. I just was curious, have you had any direct conversations with your immediate neighbors regarding what you were going to do, and did you get any reaction from them?
Yeah, I've spoken to the neighbors on, both sides. They've, just kind of asked me what I was doing back there. Like I told them, they looked at it, they watched the construction going up. They said it looks great. I talked to both sides. They said they had, no issues with, what was happening. They haven't expressed anything about there being any sort of, runoff issues or anything like that related to, us updating the garage.
Have you caught any sledders going into your driveway in the winter months?
Not quite that far.
Okay. All right.
Going down the other side and through the fences on the other side, I've seen, but
They could slide across the street if they want to do from there anyway.
it can really go across.
Very familiar with that.
Oh, yeah. I grew up sledding in that same area. I grew up on Newman, so I went down that
Most of us
same
have,
hill.
landing.
Yep.
Unfortunately, my house is on the top of that hill and it all flows down to you, so.
Yeah. No problem.
If I may, Mr. Chairman. So on the left side of the garage, well, you got a roof leader that comes down, I guess, between the garage and the room there. Is there a roof leader on the very corner in the front? I'm looking at the pictures, garage left side.
No, we just have one going in between, and that's going to feed down below the deck and towards the back then.
And where will that drain to?
That's towards that back forested area.
Yeah, it comes down and then goes right towards the back corner where the town-owned forest is.
Okay, but I'm looking, the picture shows one coming down in the front. Does that go in, you're going to put a deck there, right?
It's going to, yeah, that will be where the deck is. We didn't want to finalize the roof drainage till we knew what was going on with those
Okay,
stairs.
so where's that going to go to a splash pad and go to the stone under the deck, or what?
It'll go tied into probably the roof leader behind at that backside, towards the picture on the left side of the picture.
Okay. The concern is we don't affect any neighbors.
Correct.
Absolutely. I would never want to, cause any problems for any of my neighbors.
Thank you.
So just to confirm, the town-owned property is all wooded?
All woods, yeah. It's all wooded. And even the backside of the neighboring property, like where all that drainage is pretty much woods as well. Like their property runs back and goes right into the woods the same way that mine does.
And you're not removing any existing trees or anything like that, is that correct?
No.
Okay, I'm going to open up to the public if anyone has a question for the applicant or the witness. Please come up to the microphone. So this is for questions. You will have an opportunity to make a statement shortly there. Just state your name.
Hi. Adam Wilson is my name. I live downstream from you, down the hill. So I didn't quite hear all the answers.
Are you speaking into the mic, or just make sure it's on, please?
Yeah, I don't think it's actually on. Power's on. Yeah. Okay. It's,
You can take it off there if it's easier for you to speak into it.
Yeah, it's not, okay, is that a little bit better?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't clearly hear all the answers about drainage and so forth. So, we live down the street, downhill on Otsego, so we're like one house down from you guys. And we do have a lot of issues with runoff coming down the hill. And I noticed that, so the deck is actually, it's not on the side of your property facing the woods area, it's actually on the side that faces downhill.
Correct. Yes.
Right, so, I'm just wondering, I didn't hear everything clearly. I think you said there's a leader that the drainage under the deck is tied into, and that's pointing to the back of the property? Is that correct?
Correct, yeah, so the roof lines kind of are in a gable pitch, so there's a roof gutter at the back and then roof gutter at the front. We're taking the leaders down and then going kind of underneath that deck and then out to the surface drainage, out to the back to the forest area, where it kind of pitches down.
Okay, so that's handling runoff from the roof?
From the garage roof,
From the
correct.
garage roof. And then, how are you handling any water that might run off the deck? Is that sloped back towards that woods area?
Yeah, everything back there drains, that way towards the woods as opposed to down towards where your house is.
Okay, and what other sort of runoff mitigation efforts are you planning? I think someone had mentioned stone underneath the deck.
Yeah, engineering had good recommendations about stone underneath the deck, which we'll have.
Okay.
So that'll allow anything to go through the deck and maintain that.
Okay.
Anything that runs off like the edge of the deck would hit that stone
Okay.
Down about 6 inches and kind of permeate that way to kind of mitigate it. There's also all grass that leads up to the fence line.
Okay, so there's a strip of grass there?
Yeah, about 10 or 12 feet or so.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have the pictures here, I just have a schematic of the property.
Yeah, there's about, I guess, 20 feet from the property line to the deck,
Okay.
Where that'll be.
Okay. And no plans to plant any trees or any other shrubs or anything like that? Just gonna leave the grass there and?
Yeah, the area that's there is all grass. The rest along this other fence over here, there's a ton of trees and stuff planted in that area over there. But yeah, this is all the grass area that's there. And then the deck would just be like right here.
That's the side that you're gonna have the.
Right over there. And then everything pretty much drains towards that back area over there, yeah.
Okay. That answers my questions.
Okay.
Are those the pictures that we have? Or are they different?
I believe so. This is just one that shows that side yard between the door and the property line.
Are there any statements from the public? Seeing none, feel free to make a closing statement before the board deliberates. No obligation if you don't want to.
Just, I appreciate all the board's feedback. I appreciate obviously you're volunteering your time to be here, trying to do what's best for the town. And, we just, certainly appreciate you guys listening, kind of taking everything, into account. And, that's all. Just thank you for your time.
Yeah, I just want to say we discussed, I always push for, living space and enjoyment. So I said, could we go for a bigger deck since we're doing it? Mr. Romanishin said, no, just a walkway to get access to the front yard. That's it. So the intent is just to get access from those doors out and just not have a fall hazard, basically.
Thank you very much. I will open up to the board for deliberations, and then based off of that, Mr. Ryan, we could revisit voting on each variance individually or collectively. Would anyone want to kick it off?
Well, I'm obviously inclined to say that to me, I'm looking at the variance, is pretty much, to me, is a no-brainer, okay? I think, I don't think the applicant has done anything to, to cause himself to be in the position where, it's flip-flop back and forth between, permitted and non-permitted uses. So if we just want to set the record straight, that's the way by giving him the A variance. I would have no problem with that.
Just to clarify something on that, when you change a use from a use like storage to a residential use, it's actually much easier than going the opposite way. So
Well,
there are
Chrissy,
other.
you're the architect, no, I'm not, you're the architect. If you would recommend that, I would be certainly open to anything.
Yeah, so it's good that they went this way instead of the other way.
Okay.
That would have been a harder sell.
Yeah, just to clarify, going forward, what that structure qualifies as being, for lack of a better way of putting it.
I think it's just really for clarification that going forward, it's permitted. So, if it's.
And it would make Kathleen's job a lot easier.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And council, can you weigh in if they decide to convert, well, let's say, one of the garage spaces to additional living space? Would they need to come back in order for a?
Well, you could make that, just in case of any doubt, we can make that a condition that you maintain 2 bays for automobiles.
I have no issue at all there. It's always going to remain like that as long as it's mine.
I would certainly be in favor of that, especially we don't want to have, I would say, with that square footage, a second property on
Yeah,
the
no,
house
absolutely.
without coming before the board.
Yeah, I mean, given all that, like, the position that I'm in and just kind of given the history of why we're looking at so many variances, I mean, they're not coming in on this and no, related to kind of what the architect said, they're not coming into this with kind of an egregious, build out in terms of what they're asking for. It's literally just enough to get out, walk around, and movement around the space. We're not comparing, one usage, one ask to another application, but it's not like we're asking for, a build out with hot tubs and saunas and TVs and whatever. So, again, it's, for the purposes, I'm good with it.
All right. Would any other board members like to weigh in? And now is the time.
I think I'm inclined to vote for approval because it is such a negligible amount of square footage over, especially with the wooded area in the back. I understand the concerns downstream with some flooding and whatnot, but I don't know that this is really going to make much of an impact to that. I do just kind of recommend to the applicants, just from a design standpoint, I mean, it might not make the most sense. I actually would have rather seen like a bigger deck so that at least it's usable. But just for this application, I'd probably vote in favor for it.
And for what it's worth, I agree. I think the expanded impervious coverage is very minimal. It's going back into the wooded area. I believe there was one neighbor that was here, heard your responses, who probably would have been the most impact. And, obviously they are no longer here because they're not concerned either.
I agree with everything that's been said. I would like to make sure that that we have a provision in this resolution that stipulates that it's not a second residence. I'm not exactly sure how you want to word that, but that there be no additions.
Yeah, so I would say maintain the 2 garage bays for the purposes of the parked vehicles and no, I would say, expanded use of living space of carpeting or tile, plumbing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not intended for that, so that's fine.
Mr. Massara, I believe that when we did we heard a cabana one earlier, we put a condition in that there could be no bedroom, there could be no sleeping overnight. So is that something that you want to add to this type of thing?
It's up to the board.
It can't be used as an additional dwelling unit.
As a dwelling unit, I think. Right. Well, the cabana, because the cabana had not been built. So, you know,
This is already there.
So I think we just, you know, not a separate dwelling unit. We can certainly restrict no more plumbing. So there won't be a shower, things like that. So, but I think that perhaps someone might wind up sleeping, having a sleepover.
And the board.
I think that's what the board's trying to prevent, correct?
No.
Right.
You put it can't be used in an accessory dwelling.
That's right.
Would be a condition.
And then as presented, basically.
So, hearing the deliberations from the board, I wasn't getting a sense that we need to vote on each of these individually, that I think we would be okay voting collectively on the application as a whole.
Okay.
So I'm willing to entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Well, go.
I'll make a motion to approve with the conditions noted.
I'll second that motion.
We have a roll call vote.
Just for the record, because Mr. Mathewson is absent and Chair McGinley abstained, Dr. Reese and Mr. Tully will be voting for this, on this. Dr. Reese?
Yes.
Mr. Tully?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mrs. Murphy Broadix?
Yes.
Mrs. DiBartolo?
Yes.
Vice Chair Weston?
Yes.
By my count,
Dr. Cortez?
yes. By my count, the application, the motion passes and the application is approved. So congratulations and best of luck.
Thank you very much. Appreciate everything.
There are two houses on the store.
We're going to take a 5-minute break before hearing the next application.
Left, as you're facing. They're on the next
We'll resume call at 9:15.
Number 3, application 2024-12, 15 Parkhurst Street. Perfect. Are they still sworn in for the last time?
No, we
should do that.
Sir, raise your hand. State your name and address for the record, please.
John Guadagnoli, architect PC. Address is 224 Lorraine Avenue.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes.
And sir, you'll be testifying also? Can you state your name and address for the record?
John Altini, 15 Parkhurst Street.
And do you swear, raise your right hand, please, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the application is complete, notice is proper, so the applicant may proceed.
Thank you. So,
Well, as you know, this is a carryover meeting. Should I press the button? Or is it?
You're good.
I'm good, okay. This meeting was carried over in order to amend the plans further, which we did. The issue is, there are 3 issues, or one of maximum impervious coverage. The other one is rear yard coverage, and the last one is the side yard setback for a patio. Okay. Mr. Alteni, that's the applicant, inadvertently, well, not inadvertently, unknowingly, paved part of his backyard, not realizing that it was he would be exceeding the requirements of the ordinance. He expressed a desire to make a statement, if that's okay.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, I really want to apologize, say sorry. I didn't know about this first time buying the house, so I wish I knew it, so I don't have to spend this money. But now it's done. So hopefully with engineer help in here, so I tried to do my best. I took out some concrete in the area, so I think we'll be close. So,
Okay. So the amount of, I'll just go over the footages if that's okay. The amount of new paved area that was constructed amounted to 407 square feet. Since that was done, Mr. Altani has removed along the side of the house a concrete area that was previously there, amounting to 218 square feet. And since our last meeting, and it was recommended that we remove some of the existing pavers to come closer to compliance, another 106 square feet will be removed as part of this application. So in the end, the additional impervious area will come out to 83 square feet. That's in the end what we're boiling it down to. In addition, there was a recommendation by the board that the the paved area that was constructed, rather than being right on the property, be shifted away from the property, allowing for at least a 3-foot setback, even though a 5-foot is required, which is indicated on the drawing where we pushed it away from the side lot in order to meet that. So that's really all there is to it. 83 additional square feet, 3-foot setback instead of 5.
Just to clarify, that 3-foot setback is the 10 feet shown. I'm looking at a plan that has highlights in yellow. How far along that sideline does that 3-foot extend?
It goes up to the existing garden wall. I mean, we could extend it all the way to the corner, but it would almost be pointless because it would just be, the garden wall's like a foot thick, so it would leave a little, like 2 foot.
What's noted as existing planting bed is the garden wall.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, at the bottom, there's an existing planting bed, right, that's there, right.
And at the top?
And at the top right, we're removing a square area, 10 feet by approximately 8 feet, plus a panhandle, if you will, along the right property line, right up to this existing garden wall, which is about 18 inches high and about 12 inches thick.
And you're putting in plantings in that kind of panhandle as you described it?
Yes, exactly. It'll be planted.
And all the rest of that's going to be removed will be grass?
You mean on the right side?
The 218 plus the 106, all of that square footage will be grass?
Yeah, it'll be planted with something, yeah, yes.
We put rocks.
I didn't know this, excuse me, I've just been informed by him. He made it like a gravel thing with the board one.
With the rocks.
I mean, it's not pervious anymore, but it's pervious now, excuse me. No, I misspoke, I thought he was planting grass there, sorry.
Excuse me, what kind of gravel did you put there?
Some two kind, I think. One small, so the water drain down.
Was it construction gravel or like round, like egg-shaped gravel?
I think,
Is it landscape gravel or is it?
no, it's a real,
Excuse me, sir? Can you move the microphone? Can you put it on and move it towards you? Thank you.
it was, I think we put two kind of gravels there. The small and the big one, so I think.
Well, it's gonna be pervious coverage. You know, it can't be, grass would be ideal, but, I don't think we discussed, I know he did what we asked him to do as far as cutting back. But I don't know if we ever, what the board's intent was, how it should, but it's gotta be pervious coverage.
Sorry, are you concerned that it's like QP or?
Yes.
Okay. No, it's not like stone dust, is it? It's like
No.
rocks. It's
Yeah, it's a big, it's a, It's I asked the construction, the next door, the Mitch, he brought it, his construction guy. So that's what he needed, he told me, so.
I don't recall.
It was our intention when we discussed this, as far as I can recall, we discussed removing the concrete pad. We never discussed so that it would be a pervious surface.
Right.
We never said which pervious surface, but I think in this case, if we were
It's
to.
not compacted, like that compacted crushed
Right. We don't want
stone, right?
It's
We want
landscape stone,
landscape
if not,
gravel.
if anything else,
or grass.
or grass.
But we'll comply with whatever, we'll make sure.
If we were to make a condition that it be reviewed by our engineer before it complies? Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, as a final sign off for compliance with the building department.
Right. Okay. Is there anyone on the board that has questions of our applicant and the witness? Is there anyone from the public who has a question of these witnesses?
I mean, I have the picture here to the stones. I don't know what kind of name, but I have the picture if you want to see it.
More than likely, it would require a site visit. I don't know as the picture would do justice to.
It's not QP though.
Yeah.
It's not.
We can put another stone
No,
surface.
they're
or-
gonna inspect, they're gonna inspect.
Seeing no one with questions for these witnesses, is there anyone from the public who would like to make a statement about this application? Seeing none, I would close the public portion of the application and move to board deliberation. And what is the board's feelings in general? It appears the applicant is in the process of complying with the recommendations made previously.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely a scaled back version of the original application. I believe it said an additional 83 square feet, which is not a burdensome amount, at least in my opinion. And that is even further mitigated by the proposed additional plantings that are going in. So I don't have any issues with the revised plans, and I would move forward with it.
Okay.
I also have no issues. It's making it better than what it was, and the trade-off is a little 83 square feet.
Got it. I do not hear any concerns or complaints. At this point, I would be inclined to look for a motion to approve with the condition that the pervious surfaces be confirmed by our engineer. What was the phrase? Prior to, what was the phrase? Prior to?
Issuing a certificate of occupancy.
Perfect.
Acceptance. I think for site work, there's a certificate of acceptance.
Okay, is anybody, will anybody like to make that motion? Thank you, Edith. And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. And a roll call vote.
Dr. Reese will be voting for Mr. Mathewson. Dr. Reese?
Yes.
Dr. Cortez?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mrs. Murphy Braddox?
Yes.
Mrs. Di Bartolo?
No.
Vice Chair Weston?
Yes.
Chair McGinley?
No. By my count, that motion passed 5-2. So
Thank you, everyone.
good luck with your construction. Destruction. Okay. That moves us to our Last application of the evening, number 2024-14, 110 Linden Avenue. If you would, please remain standing. Council will swear you in.
Can you
I'm
state
counsel,
You're a
so
counsel.
you wouldn't swear me in. But if you'd like, we can swear in our professional.
Okay. Sir, state your name and address for the record, please.
Frederick C. Miola, 28 Whippany Road, Whippany, New Jersey.
And can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Chairman, the application has been deemed complete. Notice is proper, and you may proceed.
Yes, thank you, counsel, chairman, members of the board. Attorney Rosemary Stone Dougherty with the law firm of A.Y. Strauss. Here tonight on behalf of the applicant, Christina Queergross, of the property of 110 Linden Avenue, also known as Block 901, Lot 29. We are in the R50 zone. I just want to give a quick overview and just a roadmap of our presentation tonight. Originally, this application required 4 variances and a missing permit. You will hear tonight through our professional, Mr. Frederick C. Miola, who is a licensed engineer and also a licensed planner, that we've made substantial improvements to the first variance for maximum improved lot coverage. We were at 53.9%. We've reduced that to 44.6%, which is a reduction of 635 square feet, or cutting 9.3%. We did have the accessory structure shed that would have been a variance. We did have that moved, so that shed is now in compliance. It no longer requires a variance. Under the maximum aggregate area covered by an accessory structure, which again is the patio, as defined under your ordinances, also counts as accessory structures in the rear yard. Because we did cut the patio, we unfortunately are still over. We're at 31.1% instead of 33.2%, but we were able to reduce that as well. And then there was the side yard variance for the patio on the southwest side. It's at 3 feet. That is still at 3 feet. You'll hear why momentarily from our engineer. But the northeast side, which was at 1 foot, has been completely remediated. It's now at about 7.5 feet, so it no longer requires a variance. And then in your package, you have probably read and saw in there that there was a question about the 6-foot fence that was at the property not having a a permit. That permit was obtained, and that fence is now legal and in compliance exactly where it's shown on the plan today. So we're hoping that the board, when you hear the testimony this evening, will see that when the applicant found out that the patio improvements that her ex-fiancé, who was a licensed contractor, did for her after a tree fell on their back sunroom, was done without permits, she did take steps to correct that. She hired counsel. I helped guide her through. We had to get some updated surveys done. We hired an engineer. He's also already done perk testing of the soils, which most people do after they get approvals as a condition. He's already done them to make sure that the dry well incorporated pipe system that you're going to hear about will function as designed, which we feel is a significant improvement to this. So yes, while no board likes to have people come to you and say, please give me approval for something I've already done, we've taken a lot of steps to remediate, make it better, and then put in a significant stormwater management system that we believe will mitigate any issues with the overage on the coverages. So with that being said, Mr. Mule, just by way of background, can you tell the board where you received your education?
Sure. NJIT. Actually, it was NCE when I was there. I'll tell you my age.
Okay. And since receiving your education, you are licensed as both a professional engineer, a professional land surveyor, and a professional planner, correct?
Yes.
Excuse me, could you just put your microphone on?
I normally have such a big mouth, I don't ask. Sorry about that. So, Mr. Miola, you are, again, licensed as both a professional engineer, professional land surveyor and a professional planner, correct?
Yes, yes, I am.
And you've testified in front of other boards of this nature. Can you just kind of tell the board, some of the other boards that you've testified in front of? I don't know if
I've
you
been-
testified here anytime recently.
I think this may be the first time in my entire career I've been in Verona. Sorry, I missed you guys. I've been in Caldwell, West Caldwell, West Orange. My office is being in Hanover, everything around Hanover, East Hanover, Madison, Farm Park, Chatham. I've been doing this more years than I want to admit anymore, but I figured it out. I think it's 52 now. So,
Okay, and all your licenses are still current as of this evening, correct?
yes, they are.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we'd like to ask the board accept his qualifications as a professional engineer, planner, and licensed surveyor.
Mr. Miola, it's a degree in civil engineering, right?
Yes.
Who was the department head at that time?
Lalonde.
You were there shortly before I was. Very shortly.
Yeah, actually, I had Lalonde on one of the classes and Mangasarian on the other class.
If the board doesn't have any concerns, we would accept Mr. Miola as a professional engineer. Do you wish to have him accepted as a professional planner?
We would, just in case some of that testimony blurs. So, Mr. Miola, can you just give some background as far as some of the planning testimonies that you've also provided in applications?
I'll deal with bulk variances. When I was a young engineer working for the Township of Berkeley Heights, one of my charges was to do all the planning board and board of adjustment review for the township. I was an adjunct professor at County College of Morris for 12 years, teaching the land use planning course and the boundary analysis course at that facility.
And since then, you've also been accepted by other boards in the planning capacity, but again, limited to
Yes.
C1, C2 relief.
Yes.
You don't typically do the Ds,
No,
correct?
I stay away from the Ds because I honestly don't believe I'm good enough to do the Ds. You got to know what your limits are.
Then we can add professional planner? Good. Then we can move on.
Okay, thank you so much. So, Mr. Miola, after you were retained from the applicant, you have actually visited the site in person, correct?
Yes, I was out there twice.
Okay. And one of those times you were out there was to do soil testing, correct?
Yes.
Okay. But before we get into that, can you, I believe we'll have to mark it as an exhibit, and we brought the smaller 11 by 17s for all the board members, the revised plans that are shown up on the easel, correct, Fred?
Yes,
Okay.
the exhibit on the easel is slightly different than what the board has, and that was based on discussions with our neighbor to the
To the left.
I was trying to find a north arrow.
That'll be A1?
Yes.
Yes.
And can you just state
Sure.
what the block says, please,
Yeah,
so we can identify it?
yeah. Let me just go up and read it, it's easier. It's the same block. The difference is it's a February 11th revision date. The change in discussion with the neighbor, what we cut back a little more was a little bit more brick pavers on the side, providing just a walkway wide enough to get around.
So Fred, they have the correct version, because they have the small 11 by 17.
Yes.
Okay, and that's what we want to mark into evidence. Council is the correct version you're looking at, which shows the correct layout and the cutting of the pavers. Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Miola, can you just highlight for the board that when you went out there and you saw the existing conditions of the pavers, some of the improvements that were made in regards to the area of the drainage?
Yes. The pavers were done very well. What they also have on the pavers, I don't know why it's not working. I apologize. In the, on the north side of the brick pavers is a parapet wall. It's basically a sitting wall. It's about 30 inches high, very attractive, very well done. So I looked at whatever I could cut back on the pavers, but I really didn't want to take that wall down because I'm sure there was a lot of money spent in building it.
But just for clarity of the record, since that was one of the engineering questions, the wall, when you went out there and measured it, is under 3 feet, even where the pillars are?
Yes, yes. The pillars stick up maybe 4 inches,
Okay.
5 inches. Yeah. So it's well, and it's also not a retaining wall. It's not supporting dirt on one side. It's basically exposed on both sides, very attractively done on both sides. So it's more of a architectural feature to just enhance the look of the patio.
Okay, so explain to the board how the dry well / drainage system would work on the property.
Yeah, we have, looking at it, everything is pitching from the east to the west. So what we've done is provided a French drain along the westerly sideline of the property between us and the neighbor to the west of us to catch all that runoff and direct it to the dry well in the front. The dry well was tested and the results were fairly good. I know I sent Pete a copy of them early. I do have copies here if the board would like them of the results, but basically the soil tests were done and the soil was K3 modified to K2. The reason why it had to be modified down is because if you have more than 50% of fine sand, you have to drop it one level because the fine sand will tend to, over time, slow down the flow a little bit.
Okay, so as a result of the soil testing and the soil results, from an engineering standpoint, you're confident that the dry well location and plan, as you show it, will function and design, and will function and work as designed?
Yes, that was exactly where the test was taken.
And how much water runoff will the dry well help resolve for the site?
Okay. The dry well is designed to handle 329 cubic feet of runoff, which is the town code. You know, it's 2 gallons per square foot. That equates to 3 inches of runoff. We tend to deal in inches and feet when we calculate it. So all of that water can get into that. And that's the other thing. The design tends to be on a conservative side because soil erosion, and we deal with soil erosion all the time, don't let us take into account the infiltration into the ground while it's raining. Because some of that water is going to come in and seep into the ground. We have to take it as if there's no infiltration when we design our volume. So it's designed for the whole volume. So it's actually a little bit on the conservative side.
Okay, and so being out at the site and being able to look at the grades, do the soil testing, you again feel confident that this plan will remediate any water runoff that could be occurring as a result of now the modified shrunken patio?
Yes, and I should point out, we also cut the front driveway down a little bit, brought it back closer to what it was originally. The driveway, when it was replaced with brick pavers, was enlarged, so it was almost over to the property line. That has been reduced. If you look on the left side of the drawing, you can see there was a 8-inch retaining wall and then the driveway. That has now been moved over to be in line with the side of the house, which is where the original driveway appears to be in the aerial photos. So that piece was cut out.
So even though that didn't come up on the review letters, when you were out there, that was your recommendation to also correct that while making improvements to the site?
Yes, yes. I recognize that the client did something he shouldn't have done. Sometimes people just don't know. You gotta try to bring it as close as you can to conformance, and that's what we've tried to do with this design. Being sensitive to what's already been built and everything that's there, but we want to get you as close as we can to it and do what we can to help alleviate any problems that occur because of these designs, which is what the purpose of the dry well is, and the French drain. And the French drain detail is shown on the upper right-hand corner of the drawings you have. It shows the depth. It's 18 inches wide. It varies in depth from 2 to 3 feet in depth. It's clean stone, perforated pipe, 6-inch pipe at the bottom to catch the water that seeps into the stone and bring it to the dry well, and filter fabric on the sides and on the top. And the reason why I put the fabric in there is because this way, if you have to do any cleaning or maintenance, you only have to take the top 6 inches of stone out if it gets a little bit dirty, and it'll be back in business, rather than let it fill up the whole trench and then we got to pull the whole trench out and do it.
So, Mr. Miola, you also had an opportunity to review the engineering letter that was updated originally October 23rd, 2024, updated to November 21st, 2024. Was there anything in the engineering letter that you felt was not addressed or could not be complied with?
No, I think we can comply with everything that Peter wants. The only thing I do need to know is, because I know some towns have specific standards on the block for the signature. If you have it, I'll be happy to do it exactly the way you want it.
Now, I do want to point out that one of the concerns Peter had, and we've worked with the neighbor, as you indicated, that is to the left of our property if you're facing it straight. I know engineers, you like to deal with east and west, so they're at the west of us. You made sure that with this system, that this will capture any and all runoff, so not to have any water runoff onto their property, correct?
Yes. Yeah, if you look at the French drain that we put in, it's deliberately designed to go just slightly past the sitting wall. So that water coming off of that patio has to get caught. It can't shoot by it. That's why we went a little bit further than where the sitting wall starts.
Now, the other thing was you did look at seeing if you could put some trees in along that property line, but unfortunately, because of the pipe, the concern is that tree and tree roots might cause some damage there, correct?
More than that, I think the trees are going to die because the purpose of this is to take all that water and get it out of there. There's no water to feed the trees. So unless the neighbor gives us permission to put it partially on their side of the property line where we're back into the dirt, I really don't see trees living in this location.
And you are aware that we have spoken to the neighbor, and the neighbor has given us consent to put 3 trees on their side of the fence. So if the board were to be inclined to approve this application, the plan is to put 3 arborvitae style species of trees that would be no less than 4 feet, closer to the 6-foot planting mark by no later than May 31st. We want to give time for the weather to improve, obviously, and for the root system to be secure, that we will work with the neighbor and put them right along the other side of the fence so that we can have some trees there, but not have them damage the perforated pipe. Correct, Fred?
Yes. Yes, I know we had those discussions.
So in essence, because of the change of design with the Exhibit A1 that the board has, which is showing now the reduction of 635 square feet off of the patio, it's only, again, because of how the measurement of the rear yard is showing a reduction of 67 square feet for the maximum aggregate. We were able to reduce most of those variances and eliminate 1.5 of the variances, but more importantly, put in a substantial drainage system.
Yes.
In your opinion, as now putting on your planning hat, would the benefits of this drainage mitigation system outweigh any detriments caused by this now reduced but still oversized patio?
Yes, I believe so. I believe it's going to be a benefit to the neighbors, not only to the neighbor right directly to our west, but anybody downhill of us, because Linden Avenue goes from the east to the west. It goes downhill for quite a ways. So it's not going to stop all the water, but our water is not going to be causing any problems to people downhill from us.
Thank you, Mr. Miola.
Question, those 3 trees that are going to go on the neighbor's property, proximity along that line, would they be opposite the house? Would they be opposite the patio? All 3 opposite the patio?
I'll be honest, I'd be happy to put them wherever the neighbor wants them, because they're the ones that asked for them. So if they tell us where they want to put them, we'll put them there.
I mean, ideally, it's my understanding with their council, the idea is to put them kind of towards the end of the house, but before where the sunroom jets out, so that it'll help close that gap from their view of the house. But again, we are willing to put them anywhere that the neighbor wants them put. And again, we're willing to put them in by the deadline of May 31st so that they can be put in promptly before we get into the summer months when people might use their outdoor patio.
Mr. O'Doherty, we'll have, if Mr. Chairman, before we conclude, we'll have, the council is here for the neighbor. So I think it'd be prudent for the record to hear from council just very briefly to confirm the settlement that's been made.
Anyone who has questions of the applicant, engineer? Testimony presented. Is there anyone from the public who has questions of the applicant's engineer on the testimony that was presented?
Does that include comments as well?
Not yet. Give me 30 seconds. Should we hear the...
No, yeah, we should hear it from council, yes.
So at this point, I would just like the right to be able to make final comments after neighbors council and members of the public speak, but otherwise, this is our presentation. Okay.
That works.
This mic's working a little bit better, so if you don't mind, I'll stay over here.
You can share, Lisa.
Good evening, everyone. Lisa Lamello from Murphy, Show and Wilkes, here on behalf of the neighboring property owner at 112 Linden Avenue. We have reached an agreement with the applicant on the size of the patio, most importantly the drainage. There was significant runoff onto 112 Linden, so that will be remedied with the dry well. We appreciate Mr. Viola doing the perk tests before the board as opposed to after as well. And we will work on the trees to the location and placement of the trees on 112 Linden to make sure that they're sort of blocking the view. We appreciate the Mr. Viola and Ms. Stone Doherty's efforts to mediate this and make sure that the detrimental effects of what was there before should be taken care of now. So.
And then there is consent to allow the trees. I'm not sure whether it would be a condition of approval anyway, if it is in fact approved, but your client does give consent for the applicant to plant those trees.
We do, and we would actually request that it be a condition of the approval as well.
Thank you.
And we stipulate and consent to that, of course. Yes.
Thank you.
We usually don't have opposing counsel. If there are no more questions or counselors in the room, present company excluded, we would open up the floor to public statements about this application.
Of course, of course.
If you would, please come to the microphone.
Sure.
We'll need to have your name and your town, but not necessarily your street address.
Of course. My name is Carlos Selly. I've been a resident of Verona for about 10 years. I love this town. I've been here for a while. I plan to stay. Every year I try to beautify my house as much as I can. I try to do something, front, backyard, everywhere. And I really, when I heard what she was doing, my neighbor was doing, I was very happy about it. And I've seen the work that she's done. And I really love it. I wish more people would do that. I've seen backyards here in Verona. They need a lot of help. And if people did more of this kind of thing, I think would be great. I'd love to see it remain. It's festive, it's beautiful, and I might do the same at some point. So that's all I want to say.
Just not oversized, please.
Yeah.
And with permits.
I will make sure I work with you to make sure that it's right.
You're uphill?
No, I am right behind.
Behind it.
Behind
I know where it is.
Yes. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Sure.
Again, we don't usually get neighbors saying they like the idea unless you're putting in a pool. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to make a statement? Seeing none, I would close the public portion of the application. Well, I'll close the public portion of the application, turn it back to council for a final word.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Again, we know it's unusual, and we never really like to come before the board when something's already been done. But hopefully the board can see the efforts that the applicants made, not only through council, through their engineer, but in working with Neighbors Council to really minimize and try to improve the conditions that are there. The dry well system with the perforated pipe, I know this board is aware, is not an inexpensive mitigation matter to put in. It will certainly even be better than what was there when, as you saw from the previous survey, there was already substantial coverage than what was there before with no mitigation previously. The applicant is very apologetic about what happened. Obviously, she's not a contractor. Her ex was. And, you know, this all started when one tree fell on the sunroom, and he said he was giving her a gift, and we've been trying to fix it since then. So it's a gift that keeps on giving, but we appreciate the board's time. I know it's late in the evening, but we hope that you can see that we feel that the improvements that have been made outweigh any detriment to being over on the coverage. Thank you.
Now I would open it to board deliberation, and entertaining some opinions before we make a decision.
Mr. Chairman, I would suggest another condition would be subject to satisfactory review of the stormwater calculations, because we haven't seen them yet, and inspection of the improvements as they go in to make sure they're installed properly.
Okay. Yeah. What are some thoughts? Anything in the law?
So as we all know, I'm very sensitive to macro, neighborhood scale items. In this case, I did, kind of Google Maps this, and it does look like there's a pool in the back. Your back neighbor has
Yes.
a pool, but then there's quite a few, houses and lots that have just the driveways that go up to the garage. They don't go all the way around the way that, we see a lot of times in Verona. So there doesn't seem to be a lot of impervious coverage on other sites that are adjacent to this site. So I'm somewhat comfortable with that.
And I'm comfortable with it as well, especially with the French drain and dry well. It should certainly help mitigate any kind of runoff and keep the water on the property and not impact the neighbors. I do also appreciate the revised plans to try to eliminate the variance around around the shed, as well as on the northeast side setback as well.
And just for confirmation, I did give the permit for the fence, so that would come off. They don't need the variance for that.
I'm also comfortable with it.
I am too.
Okay, I'm hearing comfortable. Is anyone comfortable enough to make a motion to approve with the conditions of planting the trees and stormwater data review and inspection? I'm guessing you got it down there.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to condition the condition on, that the applicant is required to plant the trees provided they have continued consent. Because the neighbor has advised of consent tonight. That consent could be withdrawn. And if that consent is withdrawn, it shouldn't have an impact on the application. That was kind of, an off-site issue. So I just want to make sure that the applicant would be protected in the event that for some reason consent is withdrawn.
Everybody good with that?
Yep.
Council amended our motion.
Sorry, who made the motion?
Ms. Murphy-Gratis.
And I'll second.
We're using hand signals over here, you gotta keep up with us.
I was writing the conditions down. Dr. Reese?
Yes.
Dr. Cortez?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mrs. Murphy-Braddox?
Yes.
Mrs. DiBertolo?
Yes.
Vice Chair Weston?
Yes.
Chair McGinley?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Good luck with your construction. Or destruction. Deconstruction.
Valid reason under the land use law to grant.
Okay, folks, question. Do we need an executive session? And our next regular meeting has how many applications?
3.
Thank you. Hey, while you're here, while I have you, before I allow anybody to close the book, okay, for Christmas, I got my grandson this great book on the ABCs of engineering. Now, what I thought was particularly interesting was the fact that I didn't know anything that was here. But the last page says Z is for zoning. Okay? So we made it into the children's book. Zoning helps local governments, city planners, and civil engineers plan how cities should grow.
There you go.
And you're our chairman, and you know nothing?
And I looked at this and I said, what the heck is a Carnot engine? It is a little broad. But in any case, I highly recommend it to find out what zoning is.
It's really
It's a place.
That took us a while.
Yeah.
Mr.
Okay.
Chair, I think there's one more thing, Mr. Tenkate. Mr. Tenkate is not going to be joining us at meetings much anymore.
Yes, I'm turning the engineering duties over to Sarfine, and she's been doing, prior to this, she was acting zoning officer for over a year for before Kathleen came and took her job away. But, yeah, she's very familiar with the town, and she has a P license, and she's been doing reviews for the last 3 years behind the scenes. Now she's going to be in front of her. So, yeah, so anyway, we're very happy to have her do that, and I'm always in the background.
It's going to improve the look of the board, Peter.
What?
It's going to improve the look of the board.
I take no offense to it.
Yeah, you can cut us off. We're going to call that at 10:03. We're good. Motion? Someone made, I heard a motion. I think Greg is whispering those things to me.
Yeah, start getting 8 o'clock.
Okay. Peter, we will miss you.